And he's going to show Mickey Knuckles what it looks like when a real man whoops a woman's ass. Which that line had me rolling.
Yeah, that was a great line. I like how he prefaced it with like, "I'm gonna be a real man and beat up this woman."
Yeah. The ring rat turned on Disco Ray and along. So the end of the match, Disco Ray's about to do something, but the ring rat stops him. She ends up hitting him in the balls, and that costs Ray the match. It cuts to Steven Flo standing on the fucking entrance, and then the ring rat goes to him. So the ring rat has a line with Steven Flo, and he sure looked smug.
RVD is definitely a step slower.
He looks like he has a beer belly, too.
That too. He's a nostalgia act.
And that leads us to Caleb Conley versus Matt Riddle versus Dolph Ziggler versus Cocaine. One of these things is not like the other. So the match starts, and Cocaine tried to stab Caleb Conley in the head with a handful of straws. Riddle and Ziggler wrestled for a bit, showing what it's actually supposed to look like. But yeah, that was JCW Stranglemania.
Whoa. I said I had a question, and I need you to have the answer. So the question is, who the hell was in that bag?
I think it was Yabo. That was my guess.
Okay. We can go with that. I just needed an answer. But if you're in the chat, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. As we move on to our next segment, which will be
JCW Stranglemania Viva Las Violence. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada. We had a cold open. We see a car drive up to some trash. Then a trash bag rolls out by itself, it looks like, out of the car's hatchback. And the car drives off and the bag starts squirming. There's an opening hype video, which was awesome. Whoever edits the hype videos, he's amazing. Then we open, and of course, it's not the JCW arena. Instead, we're in something. I don't know if it's a casino or a hotel or an abandoned warehouse, but I like the vibe.
It looked like they were in a casino.
Violent J comes out and he says, "Let's get this party fucking started." Then it cuts to the back. Man-woman Jasmine St. Clair is power walking to Vince Russo. Then they had the exact same interaction they had as the JCW Lunacy prior to the pay-per-view. Russo wants to disband Man-Woman's group, the Monster Corporation. Man-Woman wants a chance to prove it against a young up-and-coming team, the Rock and Roll Express, and also a young whippersnapper by the name of George South. And Vince says, "Put your money where your mouth is." And that leads us to the Monster Corporation, which is Mr. Happy, Congo Guy, and Captain Caveman versus the Rock and Roll Express and Juggalo, George South. And the Congo Guy's tits needed a black censor bar. I felt like I was watching one of them National Geographic things about Africa. And this was not a good match at all. The old guys were old. There was an arm wrench spot where Congo Guy and George South were just standing, doing absolutely nothing. And then Mr. Happy fucked everything up for Monster Corporation. He hit one of his teammates twice by accident. And at the end of the match, they threw Congo Guy, Captain Caveman in the corner. Mr. Happy thinks it's a game. He wants to be thrown in the corner too, which Ricky Morton and George South obliged. And then Morton pins Congo Guy after that and wins. Mr. Happy does a walk of shame while the other two look disgusted.
This was not a good match.
No.
And the other part of it is, yes, they did the same angle they did on JCW. So if the Monster Corp here loses, then they're disbanded. And they lost. So, good riddance, I guess. I don't know.
And to be fair, they have not been on any of the Lunacies after this pay-per-view. So, seems like they are disbanded.
Yeah.
We go to the back with Mac Davis. He interviews Kerry Morton before his big match with Mickey Knuckles. Morton calls himself the Riz God. Vince Russo tried to get rid of Morton by sending him to Japan, but Kerry Morton beat all the fucking competition. Mickey Knuckles is stepping into the ring with a Japanese legend. And he's going to show Mickey Knuckles what it looks like when a real man whoops a woman's ass. Which that line had me rolling. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that was a great line. I like how he prefaced it with like, "I'm going to be a real man and beat up this woman."
Yeah. So Claude comes out to the ring. Apparently, he's JCW's resident fruitcake, and he's also the special guest referee or some shit. I don't know. So you have Mickey Knuckles versus the Climax, Carrie Morton. Mickey sure thinks she's sexy. At least someone does, I guess. Morton came out with 2 geisha girls, and then he got on the mic before the match, said there's some good-looking women in the crowd, but in his wrestling ring, women aren't allowed in his sport. And he says it's a fucking joke that he has to step inside the ring and not only look at one woman, but 2. Either he was talking about the pretty announcer or he was making a fat joke at Mickey's expense. I like to think it was the latter.
It was the first one, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because Kerry Morton is such a nice guy, he's going to show us men what it's like when we come home after work and tell our wives what to do. He says he's going to whoop a woman's ass. Then he sucker punches Mickey, which was great.
Yep.
Mickey recovers, starts kicking the shit out of Morton, who flees to the floor. And then Mickey tries to do a suicide dive, but Morton cracks her right in the skull with a trash can, starts cackling like a maniac. And then he looks under the ring, starts pulling out doors. Not sure why those would just happen to be lying under the ring, but he got them. And then Mickey grabs Morton by the balls and hits a suplex. She sets up a door in the corner. Morton starts repeatedly hitting her in the head with a trash can lid. Then he grabs Mickey's fat. Then she does some kind of kung fu shit and snaps his thumb with her fat. Morton hits Mickey in the head with a chair. She's fucked up. Doesn't know where she is. And she resorts to biting Morton's dick. Then does the Umaga ass charge. And then Mickey wets her thumb, sticks it up Morton's ass, and made Claude smell it. Morton, yep, that literally happened. Morton gets Mickey on the top rope while the ref builds a bridge with the doors and a couple chairs. And it looks like he's going to do a Frankensteiner, but Mickey headbutts him in the dick, sends him falling through the door. Mickey goes for the cover, but the ref has to sneeze. Then she tells the ref she's going to skull fuck him. Morton tries to sneak attack Mickey, ends up taking out the ref. And then she tries to win with a Northern Lights suplex, but the ref is out. So she sets up another door in the corner, and Morton suplexes her through it, starts beating the shit out of her with said door. And this made Mickey hulk up, so Morton just pummels her with the trash can until she stops moving. And then he makes the cover with his leg over the ropes and wins. I have to say, I think this was the match of the night.
You do?
Yeah. I expected to hate every minute of this, but I think Kerry Morton made it for me. Like when he took that first move and he started screaming like a girl.
Mm-hmm.
He played the heel pretty good. I didn't know what to make of Mickey, but she wasn't offensive.
She wasn't. I didn't like the snap move, whatever the fuck that even was.
The fat grab?
Yeah. Whatever she did that was supposed to hurt him. I just didn't like that whole spot.
That was a weird one. There was a lot of face fucking and, there's a lot of dick moves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually enjoyed this match.
I think Kerry Morton's making a pretty good little dipshit heel.
The only thing that's holding him back is he needs some muscle mass.
Oh, yeah.
So we have Barnabas the Bizarre backstage. He's given the zombie tag team, The Outbreak, a piss test. And then the zombies hand Barnabas 2 water bottles full of brown sludge or liquid or whatever. Says he can't test them, and I guess that's okay because the Outbreak are wrestling anyway. So I ask myself, what was the fucking point of that then?
No idea. I guess the point was to show that they had brown piss.
Okay. So we have the Outbreak versus the Brothers of Funstruction. I guess Yabo's okay. I mean, they mentioned it. Like, not Yabo. The other one was talking about it during his promo, but that was like the only sign of him being kidnapped.
Yeah, they kind of no-sold it.
Yeah. So they fight, and not long into it, Violent J interrupts, says we need to expect the unexpected. And then the Backseat Boys are introduced, turning the tag team division on its head. The Outbreak won. Brothers of Funstruction tried to tickle one of them with a rubber chicken, and it didn't work. I feel like they've done that before. Anyway, for some reason, the announcer said the Brothers of Funstruction won. And then the Outbreak celebrate in the middle of the ring by snorting cocaine.
Yep, they got their cocaine. And they got a win.
They did.
Maybe more importantly, they got a win. I mean, Barnabas should be happy they won. Or, like, do what they want afterwards.
He doesn't want them to be druggies, I guess. I don't know.
But they won.
Maybe
That could be their celebration.
maybe Barnabas is straight edge.
Maybe.
So we have old Frankenstein getting loose backstage. Big Vito interrupts, tries to form an alliance with him. Old Frankenstein ain't having it and screams nonsense. So Vito says Frankenstein made a big mistake. He has someone else to help him. And the person that's going to help him is going to be cheaper and cause more damage than old Frankenstein ever could. So I'm not sure why Vito didn't go to the guy in the first place.
I don't know.
Well, up next we had Mecha Wolf versus Ninja Mac versus Disco Ray versus Mikey Avalon versus Champion Facade. And this is a 5-man American Championship scramble. Avalon did the worst Kevin Owens cannonballs. Facade won. The ring rat turned on Disco Ray and along. Oh my God. So the end of the match, Disco Ray's about to do something, but the ring rat stops him. Looks like she's gonna, smooch him, but then she ends up hitting him in the balls, and that cost Ray the match. Because I think it was Facade and Disco Ray left, wasn't it?
No, it was someone else in Disco Ray. Facade
Okay.
was out of the ring.
So it cuts to Steven Flo standing on the fucking entrance, and then the ring rat goes to him and starts like caressing his leg like a slave and licking it. God. So the ring rat has a line with Steven Flo, and he sure looked smug, like he did something.
Yeah.
But I was out of this match when they all started dancing at the beginning. Like this Mecha Wolf guy who looks all intimidating, and then he starts headbanging because Disco Ray wanted him to. Facade was the only one that said, fuck you.
I like how everybody had a gimmick. Like you had the wolf, you had the beach guy, which now I've learned from watching JCW this past week is that he's the man of 1,000 gimmicks. So that was just his gimmick for that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody had like a gimmick. Yeah, Mecha Wolf. I thought he looked like he was going to be something. He was pretty good.
I lost it after the headbanging.
That's fair.
Yeah. Vito's in the back again. He has a bag full of weapons he's going to presumably use in the main event. Fucking pepper spray. Violent J interrupts. He's worried about Vito and the pressure he's under. Then Jay tells Vito not to interfere and make sure Vampiro has his moment. Vito and Jay just start talking about making each other disappear. Vince Russo interrupted, asking where Vito's honor is or some shit. You're Italian. Where's your honor? Vince reluctantly gets Vito to agree to let Vampiro have his moment. And then Vito's super pissed. Calls them both cocksuckers.
Yep.
And then Vito hands a wad of cash that I guess he tried to give old Frankenstein to Shane Mercer. So he wasn't cheaper. It was the same fucking wad of cash. So then the Green Phantom comes out and then leaves. It's a good use of time there. Then we had an intergender girl match. Timu, No Definition Rodriguez, and some dude beat the lesbian and other girl. Lesbian made absolutely no attempt to prevent other girl from getting pinned.
And we have a new champion, women's champion.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Which is the American Gladiator.
Then we had Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows and Kenta versus Willie Mack and Too Tough Tony and Rob Van Dam with Bill Alfonso and new teeth. RVD did a Sabu pose before the match started. It's kind of cool. And then Too Tough Tony was more interested in drinking than wrestling, which I've come to learn that that's his shtick. Kenta got busted open and was still the best guy in the match. An RVD hit Gallows with a Van Daminator, then a 5-star frog splash, and he won the match.
RVD is definitely a step slower.
He looks like he has a beer belly, too.
That too. He's a nostalgia act.
We had Caleb Conley backstage. He's approached by Vince Russo. Vince is pissed that Caleb is relaxed for his match. Wants him to be wound up tighter than an elephant's asshole, apparently. Caleb gets pissed at Vince and his high standards. And then Vince says, "That's what I'm talking about. Now sit down, relax."
Yep, he got the look he wanted.
And that leads us to Caleb Conley versus Matt Riddle versus Dolph Ziggler versus Cocaine. One of these things is not like the other. We have a no DQ fatal 4-way elimination match for the JCW World Championship. And Jeeves interrupted as the ring announcer. He wants to introduce EC3 all by himself. Yeah, by the way, EC3 is the special guest referee. Conley came out with Vince Russo. Riddle has blue hair. Ziggler had clown makeup. And then Cocaine looks like he doesn't belong. So the match starts, and Cocaine tried to stab Caleb Conley in the head with a handful of straws. I guess he thinks he's John Moxley. Riddle and Ziggler wrestled for a bit, showing what it's actually supposed to look like. And Ziggler tried to sweet chin music Conley. Conley blocks it, kicks Ziggler in the nuts, hits a burning hammer, and gets the first elimination. And Riddle hit Cocaine with a tombstone. Then Conley kicks him in the balls and pins Riddle after a burning hammer. So Conley and Cocaine start fighting. Conley inadvertently decks EC3. Cocaine fucked up a springboard diamond cutter, but hits it after the second try. It's still a cool move. That's the only thing he has. Cocaine then tries to Hulk up with his cocaine, but Steven Flow comes out and snatches it. So Conley kicks Cocaine in the balls, hits a burning hammer. EC3 goes for the count, but stops at 3 for some reason. So Conley and EC3 get into it. Then Cocaine pulls out a secret stash of cocaine, hulks up with it, and then wins the match after a choke slam. Russo gets in EC3's face after the match. EC3 shoves him down. Russo thinks he's a badass.
I can't figure out if Russo, if he's face or heel. I guess maybe that's the point.
Well, he was a face during the Violent J storyline, but he's been all heel since then, apparently. And if you've been paying attention to Lunacy, him and Jay are butting heads again for no reason. Vince Russo went out of his way to get him half of his company back, and they're immediately butting heads.
Well, he's upset over the EC3 thing.
And the Green Phantom.
Yes. Interesting route they're taking there.
Well, we finally have our main event, Old Frankenstein versus Big Vito versus Vampiro. This is Vampiro's retirement match. Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope came out with Vampiro, and then everybody started fighting. Old Frankenstein sold absolutely nothing. Then Vito all of a sudden wants to fight Violent J. So Vito attacks Violent J with a slapjack or something. Shaggy did nothing. Shane Mercer came out to attack Jay, but ends up inadvertently hitting Vito. And then Old Frankenstein attacked Vampiro in the corner. Vito gets in, starts stomping out the shit out of Vampiro, pushing Old Frankenstein away whenever he tried to get in. Then Old Frankenstein hits Vito with an awful choke slam. Vampiro spin kicks Old Frankenstein out of the ring, hits Vito with an awful nail in the coffin, and he won. And then Vampiro got a trophy after that.
Good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess what you can say about Stranglemania overall was it was people way past their prime, and it was showing, but they had the name value.
It's either people way past their prime or people that probably shouldn't be doing what they're doing.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Choppa City.
They look pretty promising. I don't know what you're talking about there.
But yeah, I think Stranglemania, worth watching, I guess, once. At least for the Mickey Knuckles match. You got to see it to believe it. She stuck a thumb up his ass and made the ref smell it. But yeah, that was JCW Stranglemania.
Not
Might
bad.
as well get into it. We have JCW Lunacy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I said I had a question about
Oh, right.
Stranglemania,
Yeah.
and I need you to have the answer. So it was the weekend of WrestleMania, and then they put it on their YouTube channel the week after. So it's been what, 2 weeks since I watched it?
Uh-huh.
And there's a burning question that I had, and it happened at the beginning of Stranglemania. So the question is, who the hell was in that bag?
I think it was Yabo. That was my guess.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't figure out who was in the bag. I said maybe they said it on commentary, but once they showed that thing that was on commentary, I couldn't listen to it anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he was there the next Lunacy, too. Like, get out of here. What are you doing?
That Discord mod.
But yeah, I thought it was because they showed Yabo tied up to the chair at the end of the Lunacy before the pay-per-view. And then the pay-per-view started. Either that or they just had a body bag and that set the tone.
But it was moving. So someone was getting out of it.
Were they getting out of it? Looked like they were just squirming.
I don't know.
Yeah, my guess was Yabo.
Okay. We can go with that. I just needed an answer.
Yeah.